Alison, thank you so much for coming on, talking to me. Your story is very compelling. First was covered on Turning Point UK in April of this year. Can you tell me a little bit about what happened in February leading up to the events that Turning Point did a story on?
Well, apparently February is now LGBTQ History Month, which I've never heard of before. That's what they're teaching the children in the lesson is called PHSE. And they were watching a video of the history, how it come about, LGBTQ. And apparently the next lesson that they were meant to fill out worksheets because of what they've been watched. They had to fill out worksheets. And there was actually a Muslim child in the class who spoke up, and he said that he wasn't keen on answering these questions, and he didn't really want to. So in the next lesson, the teacher who's head of these PHSE lessons, he's like the leader. He is gay himself, and he come in and spoke to the children and was quite aggressive.
And let me make this very clear. You don't have a choice whether or not you learn about LGBTQ+ in school. You don't have a choice. It's one of our values, the British value. And if you refuse to do it, that will be dealt with severely.
The teacher said, I am gay, and that's a fact. Your belief is just a belief.
And let me make this very clear. You don't have a choice whether or not you learn about LGBTQ+ in school. You don't have a choice. It's one of our values, the British value. And if you refuse to do it, that will be dealt with severely. And if you say something that's derogatory or could hurt somebody else in this room, that is very serious. And it is as serious as if you were using racist language. Do not do it. Okay? That's the value, that's the approach we take in school. And if there are people sat here who don't agree with what I'm saying, you need to go home and have a conversation with your parents and say, why are my values so different to what Britain is?
What was said initially was wrong, and the recording started from then on, which is when he started saying about the British values and how you haven't got an option, basically, of not being part of this lesson. You have to learn it. It's part of life.
You know, that brings up a very good question. Listening to this 40-year-old man, it seems that he's haunted himself by being bullied when he was in school.
Yeah.
And it seems he wants to replay that trauma for every child that he's in front of.
You don't understand at this age the impact. When I was at school, and I remember it now, when I was in an English class, I used to sit with my hand like this, and you're sat now like this. I used to be sat like this. And the girl used to constantly bully me and say, oh, you're queer, you're gay because you're sat like that, and if you were a real man, you'd sit like this. So I could have said to you, oh, you're not being very girly like, you're sat like this. And actually, that still lives with me today as a 40-year-old man. That moment in that time, your words can hurt people. Why would anyone choose to say something that would hurt somebody else?
From what the headmaster later wrote a letter to you filing a complaint. In the letter, it said that this was a reaction to the fact that there was some bullying going on in the class. Can you give me some comment on that?
Apparently, according to my son who was in the class, there wasn't any bullying. No one said anything.
So because they perceived, now this is the faculty, of course, they perceived an incident. Now everyone needs to be re-educated with LGBTQ tolerance. So it was a shakedown, really.
Yeah, it was. It was. I think what's taught in universities now, where teachers go training, I think it's very liberal, and if you don't align with those views, you're shunned upon.
No, I
think which isn't very diverse, is it?
You know, consent and notification is really a part of the due diligence on the schools. Was there any type of handout that was sent home to the parents talking about how this class was now needed, about, you know, LGBTQ being part of the sex education?
No, I was completely unaware that they would. I was completely unaware initially anyway of the history. Like February is now devoted to the History Month. they've already got June, which is their Pride month. Why do they now need February as their History month? That doesn't seem right to me at all. So no, I was completely unaware that this was going on.
I wanted to ask because you informed me that this teacher is very into promoting gay pride, putting up rainbows, putting up
Mm.
posters. So I guess my follow-up question, equally, does this school allow Christians to evangelize and promote, different values such as biblical Christianity,
That's an interesting question.
Quranic Islam?
Mm. I'd like to know that actually. Yeah.
Because there are many lifestyle choices, and LGBTQ just seems to be one.
What I wasn't happy with, when he said about in the recording, he said, "Why would it matter if you don't know if you're male or female?" How can a teacher who is responsible for the education of and the welfare of children, like teenagers, who are questioning themselves, why is he not concerned about that? Surely that's a red flag, and that child would need sort of therapy and counselling sessions to find out why they feel this way. What's happened to them? What trauma have they suffered in their childhood for them not to be able to be comfortable in the sex that they're assigned to, that they were born with?
That kind of leads into my second question.
Mm.
In the headmaster, Joseph Sparks claims that the Church of England endorses the curriculum they are instituting. My question is, does the Church of England speak for all Christians around the UK?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously that they're the high church, aren't they? I don't. I'm not affiliated to them, and I don't follow what they because they're trying to get gay bishops in and all that malarkey.
Well, to your
Um,
exact point, that doesn't seem very diverse to say, that the Church of England speaks for all the spiritual Christians inside your
mm,
country. Therefore, since they blessed your curriculum, it must
uh,
automatically be okay with Christians. Seems like a bit of a stretch to me.
yeah, I think so. But I wouldn't really put it past anything that the Church of England say. I don't feel as though they're sort of like the high church. And I think they're quite demonic, really. What
Oh,
their traditions, what they do. I don't agree with them. I don't think they're very biblical.
so talk to me a little bit about your filing of the complaint. Obviously, I read the headmaster's letter back to you, and I'll be sure to post that in this interview. But it seems to me that this is business as usual. This is what you should expect.
Mm. That's what he said, that there was no safeguarding issues surrounding what was said. Apparently, different safeguarding agencies had reviewed the recording, but they all agreed that nothing really was breached. So he was like, fair enough, let's move on. But they were more concerned about who actually made the recording. That's what they wanted to know.
Yeah, because they want to retaliate against the person who made the recording.
Yeah.
Have any other parents talked to you about this situation particularly? Now that it's been covered by Turning Points.
I On Facebook, there's like a small group of disgruntled parents, should I put it, about the previous head teacher. So that's why the group was set up. But she's left now. After this recording was made, while she was the head, and she sort of like was hanging it out until she was leaving, and then she passed it on to the new head, this Mr. Sparks.
Hmm.
So that was convenient for her. But this Facebook group that was set up, there was a few parents on there that had got children, older children that had been at the school, and they were saying about this particular teacher how he wasn't a very nice character. He was head of drama as well, so I guess he was a bit of a drama queen. He apparently had arguments with parents. So this happened previously to when my son started. So I don't really know what all that was about, but that was brought up. But being a parent of a child at secondary school, So they're aged 11 up until 16, 17.
Mhm.
I don't, Parents don't have anything to do with the school really, and other parents. It's not like when they were younger, when we all met at the school gates and we was all talking and stuff. Now, obviously, your child is old enough to go to school on their own, so parents don't really have much of um, a chance to catch up with or get to know one another.
See.
So that was the only thing. This Facebook group of a few parents, a number of parents that said that they weren't very happy with this particular teacher, and that nothing actually stuck. They complained about him previously about separate incidences, and nothing ever stuck on him.
Well, that kind of feeds into my next question. Is it seems that he has had quite a few complaints against him, and yet, you would imagine that looking at over time the amounts of complaints this one teacher has, that a
Mm.
situation like this afterwards will be looked at a little bit differently. But it seems no matter what, he's insulated to any type of reprimand.
Mm. That he was seemed to be covered. I don't know why.
Uh, I guess my next follow up question I kind of want to deal with since all of this has happened. Obviously, we're about 5 months from when this all happened at this point. Has there been any other events at the school with this teacher basically trying to indoctrinate people and trying to promote his sexual orientation?
He apparently that wasn't the first time that he had that little moment with the children. Said things previously over the course of his career at the school, so that wasn't the first time. But since that went viral, he changed his Facebook profile to private, and he changed his name on Facebook because obviously he didn't want to be hunted down or trolled or anything,
Sure.
or called out really for what he did. And also the school's Facebook and Twitter page, they changed their settings so there was no comments allowed. At the end of the academic year, there was mentions of all the teachers that had been employed and had served for 5 years or more. The teachers that had served that length of time that were leaving, they had a special mention on on their website, but there was no mention of this Mr. Warburton. He wasn't mentioned at all. So I think
Wow.
he just went quietly out of the back door.
That is very interesting. It seems that
Yes.
while the reprimand wasn't official, it seems that there was some action actually
Mm.
taken in this case. It was very nice to meet you. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Hope you can understand me though, my accent and my and the echo.